Today we're going to talk about fractional exponents. So fractional exponents are basically exponents that contains fractions. So fractional exponents we can turn it into radical. So the numerator will go inside and the denominator will go to the outside of the radical sign. Then we can just continue to the math here. So we start for with 8 squared, that's going to 64, and cube root of 64, that's 4. So same as in this one, that's 16 raised to the 5th over 4. So we can just turn it into radical. So we get 4th root of 16 raised to the 5th power. And so let's take the fifth root of the, no, I mean, don't make it complicated. We can just easily take out 5 from the numerator of the function on the exponent here. And then we can turn that into 4th root of 16 and quantity raised to the 5th power. So we can just take the 4th root of 16, and that's going to be 2, and we can raise it to the 5th power. So this is much easier way than earlier, but you can either do the first one or the second one. Which do you prefer? So I will prefer the second one because it's much easier to do. So let's say we have 9 raised to the 3 over 2 here. So we can just take the 3, and let's take the square root of 9. So the square root of 9 is going to be 3. And we're going to cube root, not cube root it, but raise it to the third power. So we got 3 raised to the third power, that's going to be 27. That's the answer for that one. Now let's try this one. Let's say we have a cube root of 64 squared. So again, we can just write this into fraction. So it's going to be 2 over 3. And then we can just take out the 2, and we can make this as 1/3. So we can just have this. So let's take the cube root of 64, that's going to be 4, and we square it. So the answer here is going to be 16. Now let's try this one. So we can just turn this into fraction, it's radical. And now we can just take out the third power. So we can get the 4th root of 81. So the 4th root of 81 is going to be 3. And raise it to the third power, it's going to be 27. So just basically same for all things, just like this one. Say we have 5th root of 34 raised to the 4th power. We can turn it into a fraction. We can take out 4 and then transform 1/5 into radical. So 5th root of 32, it's going to be 2. And we can just raise it to the 4th power. It's going to be 16. Now let's take a different case. If we do have a fraction, but it's going to be negative, so we can just use some rules of exponents that if we move it into the denominator or numerator, whether it's going to be negative or positive. So here it's going to be negative to positive. Move it into the denominator. So we can just easily simplify this, as we already know how to simplify this one. It's going to be 125. So it's going to be 1 over 125. Now let's try this one. If we're going to multiply two fractional exponents or radical exponents. So if we turn this up into fractional exponents, it's going to be x raised to the 4/3 times x raised to the 5/4. So we can just cancel the 4, and we have 5/3 as our exponent, and then we can just write it into radical form if we wanted to. Now let's move on to our last problem. This is in my thumbnail. So let's try this one. So here we can just turn both the numerator and denominator into its fractional form. So that's going to be 3/5, and in the denominator we have 7 over 4. Now we can either move the denominator to the numerator or numerator to the denominator. But here we're going to move denominator to numerator, and it's going to be negative. Now we can just subtract this one. So we need a same denominator so we can apply the subtraction. So 12 minus 35, what's this? It's going to be 23 over 20. This is supposed to be negative 23 over 20.